Hello, you're listening to The Olive Tree with me, Julia Fisher, the programme that brings you news and interviews direct from the Holy Land through the stories of the believers who live there, both Jews and Arabs. Last week we heard from Peter Nasser, an Arab Christian evangelist working on the team of Jews for Jesus. As promised, this week we're hearing from Peter's wife, Yarden, who is Jewish. Yarden's story began in the Ukraine. Born into a secular Jewish family, she decided to come and live in Israel when she was just 15 years old. She was placed in a religious Orthodox school, and as you'd expect from such a single-minded young woman, she worked hard at her studies. It was during this time that something truly significant happened to Yarden, as she now explains.
Actually, during that time, I came to know Jesus as my personal Savior and Lord. Usually on the summertime, I went to visit my parents in Ukraine for a break. And then my second year, when I came back to school, I started questioning a lot of things. Why they believe like that? Who am I? Am I Jewish? You see, when I was 7 years old, from one hand, my grandmother, she was taking me to study about Judaism. But from other hand, my mom, she came to faith when I was 7 years old. So she kind of read me stories about Jesus and Bible. But I just look at Jesus as a good person, kind of friend of children. But I couldn't understand the concept of sin, or he came to die for my sins personally. When I was in school, I studied about the sin and we studied about Messiah, but that was from Jewish perspective. So I started questioning a lot of things, why my mom believed like that and why here in Israel they believe different. Is any connection between Judaism and Christianity? As I questioned rabbis, they couldn't answer my questions. So I opened the Bible. I had only Old Testament. And then I opened in Isaiah 53. And then here it is. I started reading the prophecy about the suffering servant. And I realized it looked like Jesus. I could see a picture about him there. So I took the same book to my roommates and asked them what they think about it. So other girl also told me, it looked like a story about Jesus. And she threw the book on the bed and said to me, you know what? This is the New Testament. I said, no, that's the Old Testament from the synagogue. Even she could see the prophecies about Jesus. So that challenged me to really go in and dig deeper in the ground and found more prophecies about Messiah. And just little by little, I realized that Jesus is the only one who could fulfill those prophecies. And then later I also start reading books and get to understand about the sin and that I need Jesus in my life. One day I prayed and I felt like so lonely and I thought like I'm the only person who believes in Jesus in Israel. But later on, God heard my prayer and I went out on the street and somebody gave me a little pamphlet. It was an invitation to local Messianic congregation in that area for kind of concert. So I went there and met a lot of Jewish Christian believers that shared their testimony with me and encouraged me. So I started growing in faith in that church while I was studying in Orthodox Jewish school. So that was continuing until the third year. And then in the end of that year, I needed to do kind of exam on Judaism with Rabbi. And as I did this exam, he asked me a lot of questions about my faith, Jewish background, and celebrating holidays and Jewish practices. And after I finished all the questions, he asked me about Jesus. He asked me, what do I think about him, if he said truth or lied. I didn't expect that he will ask me about Jesus, but as he asked me, I just said to him, I believe he said truth. So he was kind of shocked, and then he tried to discover how I came to this conclusion. So I explained to him and showed him prophecies, and I said, I believe actually that Jesus is the promised Messiah of Israel. In the end, he said, well, I'm sorry, I can't pass you this test on Judaism, so it will be hard for you staying in Israel as you believe in Jesus, and you need to decide Judaism or Christianity. And I said to him, you see, I see that actually the real Judaism or the real Jewish faith was based on the Old Testament. And there are prophecies and promises of God to his nation. And I see in Jesus those prophecies and promises are fulfilled. So I don't think it's another religion. It's just continuating. It's just fulfillment. I don't see it's like one religion or another. It's just faith. So it was hard for him to understand, but he was open, and I prepared for him a list of prophecies and fulfillment of Jesus in all the New Testaments, some verses, and he took it in his pocket. He hid it. So this is how I finished school. I graduated very well, and nothing happened. They could kick me out of school because of my faith, but God decided to keep me there. After that, I went to do national service. It's kind of serving the country instead of army. And during that time, I also moved to Hadera, to another place, and I met there also a local church. So I used to help and volunteer there to do some evangelism. So one day, a pastor of the local church invited me to go to a festival in Akko to give some books about Jesus to people and talk to them about my faith and testimony. So I decided to do that. And this is actually where I met my husband, Peter. We were evangelizing together. He actually was witnessing to Jews, and I was witnessing to Arabs. I kind of need some translation to Arabic, and I need help. So somebody from my group pointed to him. So I went to Peter and asked him some questions, and I saw him witnessing to 5 or 4 Jewish people. So that was kind of interesting, how he's an Arab will witness to them and share his personal relationship with their God, with their Messiah. That was quite exciting and caused me to be interested. So he helped me with translation to Arabic, and then he heard my testimony. So we got to know each other. And then later on, I like this kind of outreach, going out and talking with a lot of people and giving them literature and sharing my faith. And start going on my free time to different festivals, like New Age festivals and other festivals that they have a lot of Jewish people there with spiritual hunger. This is also how I met Jews for Jesus group. On one of New Age festivals, they used to have a booth with books for free and T-shirts saying Jews for Jesus.
Were you surprised that you had met and fallen in love with an Arab man? Before you met Peter, what was your feeling towards the Arab people?
Well, I had quite different feelings. I was raised in a family that we don't distinguish first between Gentiles and Jews. In my family, some people married to not Jews, so that wasn't a problem for me. I never thought about marrying to Arab. I always thought either Jewish, Israeli, or Russian-speaking. But later, when I was studying in the Orthodox school, as we study about the culture, our school was very kind of anti-Arab, very mad on Arabic people. We were also surrounded by Arab villages around, and there were sometimes threats from. So our director of the school was saying, if I see one girl going out with Arab boy or talking, we'll be kicked out of school. So I was very afraid to talk to Arabs. I even, as an immigrant, I couldn't distinguish between Jews and Arabs, like Israelis, because they looked like the same in the beginning for me. If somebody speak Arabic, I was very cautious and I was afraid. I don't want somebody to kick me out of school because I just talked to buy something from Arabic people. But then when I came to faith, everything changed because you have all kind of people there. Like you have Jews, you have people from different backgrounds, and also Arabic. So that caused me to be interested and know. And I thought, after all this bombing and terrorism, I heard some stories here and there how Muslim or Arabic people came to faith and born again. And it was for me such exciting because I thought for Jewish believing in Jesus, you will be cut off from community, your relatives will be mad on you. People think you're crazy, but nobody going to kill you for that. But in Muslim, I know that if they came to faith in Jesus, then they could be killed. So they need really to do a serious decision. It caused me to be really interested. So I went to Shfaram, and there is a local Arabic church, just get some friends and get to know some Christian people from Arabic background. And then later I used to volunteer with them and we evangelized together. So before I met Peter, I was okay with Arabs. But then when Peter asked for my hand, that was kind of strange because I know that Arab people, they have, even Christian, they have their own traditions, their own culture.
You have such an unusual story to tell between the two of you. You must really believe that God's brought you together for a reason. So if you put that within the context of living in Israel, how do you see your future?
As for now, I'm very excited that my husband is Arabic and serves with Jews for Jesus ministry, which is mostly Jewish. So that's actually caused a lot of Jewish people in the area ask him why he came to Jews for Jesus. And so then he can say, I'm married to Jew, and I believe in Jesus, and he's, Jewish Messiah for everybody and also for Jews. So that's kept me being excited about my faith and sharing faith and seeing him sharing faith. And also people asking me, like, how I am married to Arab. And so I can just use that and say, you know what? In the Bible said that Jesus destroyed the fence between Jews and Gentiles and make a peace. So, and not just between Jews and Gentiles, also between Jews and Arabs, if they came to faith. And I see as in Jesus we can really reconcile. This is the true solution for all these wars and troubles. If you have Jesus inside your heart, you have peace, and peace with people, peace with God. So I see us as a missionaries with Jews for Jesus serving here in Israel. And actually, my personal wish is, to witness more, not just Jews, also Arabic people in the area. So when I come to Peter's village where his family lives in Galilee, if I see somebody Arabic, I wish like I witness to them and get excited. So I think like I feel like this is the calling for the rest of my life, being witnessing and for God's glory.
Yarden Nasser, another remarkable story. And you're listening to The Olive Tree with me, Julia Fisher. These programs are designed to give you insight into what life is like for both Jewish and Arab believers living in the Holy Land today. Often their lives are hard and they need our help. So that's where we come in. The Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund, a small charity based in the UK, supports needy Arab and Jewish believers. You can find articles, programmes and information about our tours to Israel on our website www.olivetreefund.org. If you'd like to receive our free bi-monthly newsletter, please either email inquiries@olivetreefund.org or write to me, Julia Fisher, at the Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund, P.O. Box 850, Horsham, RH12 9GA in the UK. I'll be back at the same time next week for another story from the Olive Tree. Until then, goodbye.